Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, this is BestInSlot, and tonight we're going to start a new 3-part series where we rank every single dinosaur in Jurassic World Evolution from number 56 all the way up to number 1. We're going to do this in 3 parts, otherwise the video would be an hour bloody long, but that means we're going to do 19 today, the bottom 19, then we're going to do the middle 18, and then we're going to do the top 20, top 19, if I learn how to do basic maths, in the final video on Saturday. So one a day for the next 3 days. Something to look forward to. I would love to hear your comments down below. I'm sure some of these choices will be, I don't want to say controversial, but people will disagree, let's say. I'd love to hear your own rankings down below. You know, do your bottom 19, do your bottom 5, bottom 10, whatever. My rankings have changed a lot since that top 10, bottom 10 video you guys saw a couple months ago where I ranked the dinosaurs before the new dinosaurs from Dr. Wu and the Cretaceous pack came in. So the rankings have changed substantially, so keep an eye out for that. You may be surprised. And I just want to say, this is not, I'm not going to pretend to be unbiased. This is my personal opinion. It's just how I feel about the dinosaurs from a whole different combination of factors. You know, what they're like in game, the different skins and textures, the sounds, their franchise noteworthiness, just how the dinosaur makes me feel. You know, that's what I want passion in my dinosaurs. With that said, let's get started with number 56. And bottom of the list, just like last time, is the Maiasaura. Number 56 has not changed. It was bottom of my bottom 10 last time, and it's bottom now. It's just stupid. I don't really know how else to say it. It looks dumb. I hate it. I actively avoid having it in my park. It is mainly, I actually quite like the texturing and the striping along the back, you know, how it hits nearly every other little nodule. That's pretty cool. But the face is so incredibly daft looking, with that weird little push-up bit about the eyes, and I don't care if this is what the dinosaur looked like. It looks ridiculous and I hate it, okay? I don't even want to, I'm angry just looking at it. It's just, oh my god, it's so ugly. Although you are kind of cute when having a nap, but I think all dinosaurs are, because it kind of hides your face a little bit. No, I still hate you. I'm sorry, Maiasaura. Number 56, doomed forever. But it was a close one this time. There is a new contender for worst dinosaur, and it is the Ankylosaurus, or Ankylosaurus, depending on your pronunciation. They pronounce it Ankylosaurus. Those of you who watched my Secrets of Dr. Wu video and my Ankylosaurus showcase video will already know my feelings on this dinosaur, but it has basically the same problem as the Maiasaura in that it looks stupid. I hate its face, its stupid, gormless face. It looks like the dragon dinosaur flying fluffy thing from, I believe, Neverending Story. I can't remember, but it throws me off every single time. The spikes are over the top. There's barely any Ankylosaurus in there at all. Really, the only presence of it is the sort of bits around the... It basically makes the face look stupid, and that's about it. The rest of it is just spiky Diplodocus bits. Somebody did a little... Oh my god, I hate your face so much. Somebody did a remake of it on Reddit, just a little test one, and they put some armor plating along the back, like the Ankylosaurus, and it looked so much better. This is just a very spiky Diplodocus with a stupid face, and that makes me angry. Coming in at number 54, and yes, it's a shame to have 2 similar dinosaurs so low, but the Crichton, our very first movie dinosaur on the list. Kind of, again, the bottom 3 all have the same problem. It gets a little harder to rank the dinosaurs after this, but this bottom 3 was quite easy for me. It just has a stupid face. I don't really know what else to say, folks. The Crichton does have other problems that even the Maiasaura does not, however. The face isn't quite as stupid, I will say, but it loses points because the colouring, I mean, that default colouring is so boring that like so many of the hadrosaurs are very colourful, very attractive to look at. Even the default ones are interesting. The Crichton just looks like butter and dirt, which is an interesting combination because why would you combine those two things? But that's the only reason. It's a boring looking dinosaur with a stupid face. And yes, it was in Jurassic Park 3, but that scene really didn't go anywhere, didn't really do anything, and it was in there for about 2 seconds. And it had a stupid skin in Jurassic Park 3 as well, so it's what it is. Number 4 in our bottom list, making it number 53, is the Archaeopteryx. Is that maths? 56, 55, 55. Yes. Archaeopteryx, I don't actively dislike as a dinosaur that much. It's kind of just a slightly reskinned Gallimimus after all. It's fine. My problem with it is it's got this weird shiny texture to it by default, but more than that, it was a deluxe edition dinosaur. Now, the other 4 dinosaurs from the deluxe edition are quite a lot higher in this list, I believe. I don't know off the top of my head because it's 56 bloody dinosaurs. I definitely don't remember them all, and I am kind of winging all these descriptions in case you couldn't tell. But the Archaeopteryx was a letdown in the context of the deluxe dinosaur pack. Here we had all these interesting new dinosaurs, including things like the Suchomimus, And then we get a reskinned Gallimimus that doesn't add anything at all to the game, and with a slightly strange colouring and skinning. And that's why Archaeopteryx. I'm sorry, buddy. I like it as a dinosaur. I like the majority of dinosaurs in this game. It's hard for me to be mean to them, really. Oh well, I can try. And try we must, because it kind of breaks my heart to do this. Apatosaurus is coming in at number 52. Now, every time the Apatosaurus pops its cute little head out, I feel bad for it, putting it this low on the list. And I did do a little test recording of this earlier, and I felt a little bad. I felt like maybe I should move the Apatosaurus higher, but I have to resist. Because as cute as the face is, the dinosaur itself is so aggressively boring that I can't bring myself to put it up any higher. It's just a sack of grey blob. It doesn't do anything. It's the most boring of the sauropods by a mile. It's more boring than the Ankylodocus. Ankylodocus is only lower because it looks stupid as well as boring. So it doesn't get a good score. I'm sorry. It is cute in its own little old man kind of way. It really is. But look at it. It's just a nothing dinosaur. The skin's on nothingness. Its role in Jurassic World was to die and make us sad. It didn't work for me, I'm sorry, and that's why Apatosaurus is so low on our list. The very first carnivore, I will say there's not many carnivores in the bottom 19, but one of them is the Baryonyx. Now, there's two reasons There's two reasons Baryonyx is so low on the list. Number one is I think it's a disappointing version of the movie version, which was frightening and intimidating, and this isn't. Number two is I flat out don't like the design. It's got this very weird, we'll even stop it for a second so I can showcase it. This face in particular has this very weird knobbly bobbly, which is a great ice cream by the way over here in the UK, has this knobbly bobbly kind of texture to it. It looks like it's kind of got acne scarring all over it for some reason, like it's rough and ragged, which is fine in context, but it doesn't really look good. The other problem with it is, although less pronounced on this skin than basically all the others, is these weird shades of pink that the Baryonyx inexplicably has around the face. I will say the default skin doesn't show it compared to the others, and the default skin is probably the best. But a lot of the skins are basically ruined by this weird pink shade. And really, it's just a massive disappointment for me compared to the film. I know loads of you like the Baryonyx and will be disappointed at its low ranking, but hey, this is personal and that's why we're doing it. And it keeps interrupting me in the middle of videos, so that's another reason. I just don't like it. I don't know what else to tell you guys. It's got stupid little arms, stupid knobbly bobbly face, and the film version was better. And there's not many dinosaurs I'll say that about. Yet another sauropod low on the list, and this is another one that I feel... If there's any dinosaurs so far on this list that I think I personally would put a little bit higher, in retrospect of the last 4 seconds, it may be the Camarasaurus. I do slightly think it could be higher. I kind of regret its ranking. I looked at the list for so long and this is where I put it. No, I must stick by my convictions. The Camarasaurus is a perfectly okay dinosaur. It has a very boring call. The skins aren't anything exciting. I don't really like the knobbly bobbly bits on its head. I'm going to say knobbly bobbly way too many times in this video. And frankly, it's been done better now by the Dreadnoughtus. The Dreadnoughtus is quite similar to the Camarasaurus in its face. It's kind of similar styling-wise in some ways. So we already have the Dreadnoughtus, which is probably a better version of the Camarasaurus. Some people are going to be upset with me on this one. I can feel that already. I don't like the little warble bit. It's got a massive hole in its face. It just... I like the Camarasaurus. This is the problem. I just don't like it as much as the other 50 or so dinosaurs at the end of the day. Just below the Camarasaurus, in retrospect, I will be honest, I would flip these two around. I would put the Camarasaurus here, and the Chunkingosaurus would be one further down at the 8th worst. Is that maths? Yes. Which makes it number 49. No idea if that's correct. Chunkingosaurus is another one of those dinosaurs that's fine, but lacks a little bit compared to its stegosaurid friends. It isn't as cute. And stegosaurs, for me, kind of sell themselves on the cuteness. They have this little hop when they come out of the hatchery, and it's adorable. And one of the dinosaurs on this list is really highly ranked, just because of how it looks when it does that animation. And it's sheer adorableness. The Chunkingosaurus comes nowhere near that. It's not got particularly interesting spiking, it's not got a very interesting colour palette, it kind of looks like moss mixed with milk, which is a weird combination that I'm not on board with, and it's got this weird little warble thing. I do like it less than the Camarasaurus, and I regret my ranking there. I'm sorry. Chunkingosaurus. Moving on. Another slightly controversial one, I'm sure, but our 9th worst. So is that 49? 48? God, I cannot. No way I'm keeping track at this point. Parasaurolophus, our next movie dinosaur. One featured, I was going to say fairly prominently, but if we're honest, it's not. It had a bigger role in the Lost World Jurassic Park and was briefly seen in the initial Jurassic Park. This is a shock for me still, because Parasaurolophus in Jurassic Park Operation Genesis was one of my probably my second favourite dinosaur in JPOG, Parasaurolophus. That is probably why it's so low in this list, because I feel this version just pales in comparison. I can't get past that comparison at all. And this version just doesn't do it for me in the way that JPOG 1 did. Not in any way, sexually or otherwise, you know? Part of the problem is the skins. Now, this default skin is fine, but as soon as you put it with... I don't know why I just turned into a ghost for a second. As soon as you put it with the other skins, they're all very monosaturated, all very similar colours, very dull colours, and basically every single other skin is rubbish, including the new one added via challenge mode in the patch 1.6 update. So, compared to the other similar dinosaurs like this, the Parasaur just has boring coloration. It looks a little strange, and I can't quite put my finger on why, but it's more about how it makes me feel. It just doesn't work for me anymore. I prefer the Jurassic Park style Parasaurolophus to the Jurassic World Parasaurolophus. I think that's all it is at the end of the day, and so it loses a lot of points for that. With the first 9 completed, we're now on to, this would be the final completed bottom 10. So you will notice there are dinosaurs in here that weren't in here last time, and there are dinosaurs that are in here that weren't last time, and vice versa. Some dinosaurs like the Triceratops and Velociraptor are both no longer in the bottom 10. Those are the only 2 off the top of my head, but I'm sure there's many more. I did the list a lot more thoroughly this time. I went down, I sat there with the list of every single dinosaur and made sure it was perfect. Torosaurus suffers from just being boring, basically, and that really is the crime for a lot of these bottom 19 dinosaurs. They're just not exciting compared to the alternatives. That's not to say I don't like it. It's cute. It's a ceratopsid. You guys know I love ceratopsids. But I look at this compared to the Triceratops, which I inexplicably had in my bottom 10. That's my fault, that's my bad, that was stupid. And it just isn't very exciting. The frill doesn't have the same excitement. I know Torosaurus and Triceratops have that relation between them, but I don't like the skin. It's very pale. I don't really like this pink and purplish colouring. It just doesn't do it for me. It's boring at the end of the day. It's just a boring ceratopsid. And if I was going to put a ceratopsid in my park, Torosaurus would be bottom of the list. That's not to say I don't like it, because it's cool. It's a ceratopsid, look at it. But it's a boring one. Archaeopteryx' best buddy, and yet another movie dinosaur, the Gallimimus, enters at number 11 in our bottom list. Again, suffers from the same problems. The problem I have with the Gallimimus partially as well is the colouring. This very much does not look like a Jurassic Park Gallimimus. Now, of course, it's not. It's a Jurassic World Gallimimus. And you guys know my opinions on Jurassic World. It's not my favourite film in the world. It's very scrawny. It looks anorexic. At the end of the day, it just suffers in comparison to the One True Lord Struthiomimus. It doesn't really do much for me, and when you're recreating that Jurassic Park feeling with the T-Rex and the Gallimimus, I should say, the Gallimimus really suffers in that it just looks strange in comparison to its Jurassic Park counterpart. And just beyond that, I believe number 12, so that would make it number 44? Yeah? Or 45 or 43? I can't remember how that works off the top of my head. Kentrosaurus, anyway! That hop is adorable, but again, the Kentrosaurus doesn't sell it. The Kentrosaurus, honestly, you're going to hear this a lot, but it suffers from being boring. I do prefer it over the Gigantospinosaurus, mainly because of the lack of head wobble. The head looks normal, it looks chill, it's not the freaky looking dinosaur. And it's got these fairly interesting sort of flattened off spikes at a certain point, or the plates are kind of flattened off. And I do like the way how the plates kind of get sharper and sharper towards the back and then kind of blend in to the spikes towards the back of the body. That's a pretty cool little feature. But beyond that, is it going to win any awards for being an exciting Stegosaurid compared to the others in the Stegosaurid group? Probably not. Is it going to be the cutest? No. It just doesn't do much. It's got a very small head. Its head is too small. I need to get a bigger head, Kentrosaurus. You nerd. I've got to say, this is really hard video to record, because I love all the dinosaurs in this game, except Maiasaura and Ankylodocus and Coryphosaurus. Those are the only 3 I actively dislike. Because all the dinosaurs are really well animated, really well textured, really well made. Polacanthus, by the way. So it's very hard to say which ones are low in my list. I like them all. These are just the ones I like the least. And Polacanthus goes onto that list. Now, it gets points for being British. It's from the Isle of Wight, which is cool, because I'm from the Isle of Man. They're nowhere near each other, but they're both British. And I do like the interesting plating in that. It's got these kind of singular strands of plates, and then this big, bulky, kind of plate at the back. That's a pretty cool little feature. It's interesting, but again, it just suffers compared to the others in its group. It doesn't have the cuteness of a Sauropelta. It doesn't have the thick boy of the Nodosaurid. It's lacking that defining interesting feature to look at. A lot of the problems with the Nodosaurs and the Ankylosaurans in general is the lack of exciting skins. The textures and colours tend to be fairly boring, and that is going to be a consistent problem. I will say the Polycanthus, now that I look at it a little closer, actually has some interesting texturing on the lower body, which I maybe never paid that much attention to. And I do feel bad putting it this low as a British dinosaur, but just doesn't. I'm just looking at it, I'm just like, it's fine, but. And the streak of Stegosaurids continues, although with one that we're getting to the dinosaurs that I find at least mildly interesting now. And the Giganospinosaurus, not Chunkingosaurus, as I incorrectly said earlier. Basically, it was Chunkingosaurus earlier, but I called it Giganospinosaurus. So that's my bad. The Giganospinosaurus is a little bit more interesting. It's basically a fairly standard version of its group, but it's got these massives. They are humongous, these spikes. They are actually way bigger than I thought they were. They are humongous. And the texturing is at least relatively interesting. It's an interesting dinosaur, this. It's just not as interesting as some of the others. It's harder for me to say overly positive or negative things about a lot of these dinosaurs as we get towards the middle, because they're fine. And that spike is pretty cool, I will say that. Giganospinosaurus, you've done well with your spiking. And you've got a weird name though, which hurts you a little bit. The problem is I think the rest of the dinosaur just doesn't follow through on the promise of the spikes. It's a pair of spikes and it's really nothing much else. It's pretty to look at, but would you take it home to meet your mum at the end of the day? Probably not. And as mentioned, the Dreadnoughtus makes its appearance. I am not as sold on this dinosaur as a lot of you are. I do think it's better than the Camarasaurus, etc., but I do think it suffers in comparison to a lot of the other sauropods. It's perfectly fine, but the head has this weird... It's just a little bit... It's a problem that some of the other dinosaurs recently out kind of suffer from as well. I'm going to mention it later. One of them is actually quite highly ranked, and I will point it out when we get there in a different video. But the head's got this very smooth appearance, like it's been sandpapered down a little bit, and it kind of stands in contrast to the rest of the body. And whilst that trumpet noise is unique, I don't find I particularly enjoy it. Dreadnoughtus is one of those dinosaurs I haven't spent much time with though. It's from the Cretaceous Dinosaur Pack, it's fairly new addition to the game. It's got time to be more interesting to me. It's got time to sort of work its way up in my estimations as we play with it in our parks. Right now though, it's got a stupid little face. I don't know, it's just been kind of like its face is just kind of crammed in there a little bit too much for my liking. It does have some interesting alternate skins, I will say, which is probably why it's higher in this list than some of the other dinosaurs. I quite like the texturing and colour scheme on the Dreadnoughtus when you look at the alternates. Yet another movie dinosaur making an appearance now is the Ankylosaurus. Which is, yeah, it's fine. Most of the dinosaurs at this point are fine. You know, they're chill, they're nice, but they're not amazing. The thing is, there's so many good dinosaurs or great dinosaurs in this game that it's not just the top 19 that will be the great dinosaurs. It might be the top 30 to 35 to 40 that were all really good dinosaurs that I really like. So everything below that is okay. So it's very, like I said, it's hard to be too negative. I like the Ankylosaurus for what it is. It's a big, chunky thing. But one of the problems it definitely has is the skinning and coloration. And it's like I mentioned for the Ankylosaurus in general, they just don't have interesting colour schemes. Of course, we got a new colour scheme for the Ankylosaurus recently, the Christmas one. I believe it was the jungle, but it kind of felt like a Christmas... Alright, alright, Camarasaurus, calm down. It kind of felt like a Christmas one. And it just looked bad. It just looks terrible. It looked better in game than it did on the website, but beyond that, it just looked poor. And... it's a very hard dinosaur, I think, to texture in an interesting way. It also suffers a little bit from looking nothing like an Ankylosaurus, but that's not really their fault, you know, that's just development. I do like the club, I will say. The club is cool. That's about it, though. It hurts me a little bit to put my beloved Sauropelta quite so low. Because it is cute in this kind of weird old man kind of way. It is kind of cute, right? It looks so happy. Oh, Sauropelta, do I regret putting you this low? No, I'm committed to my list. I spent so long working on this list. It is a very happy and cute looking little dinosaur, but that isn't enough. It's not so cute that it can work its way up the list, if you know what I mean. It's a perfectly nice, cute little dinosaur, but that's about it. I do really like the plating. I think that's quite an interesting texture, actually, along the back. I'm putting it next to the Chunkingosaurus. I definitely prefer it a lot to the Chunkingosaurus and the Parasaur. It suffers again from a lack of interesting skins more than anything else. I'm also not convinced on the smoothness of the head. I think that looks a little strange. Again, a lot of these factors may well be perfectly realistic, but it doesn't make them interesting to look at in a video game. I do like it. I like this dinosaur. Sauropelta is a cool, cute little, happy little dinosaur, like a little happy puppy. But it's just not special enough to earn it a higher ranking. Number 18, and continuing a theme we've had for the past few dinosaurs now, is the Crichton Soros, which I will admit is getting some bonus points just for being a Crichton Soros, which is inherently an awesome name, and I think the nod we needed for Crichton himself. Another of the deluxe edition dinosaurs, but much more interesting at least than the Archaeopneus. It's got this kind of weight to it that you don't really feel with some of the others. The plating is thick and wide and heavy, and the tail and the club seem to kind of just... They're wider, so they kind of seem to fall down closer to the ground, like it's kind of lumbering under its own humongous body weight and the weight of the plates as they shift about. It's pretty cool, and I really like Crichtonsaurus as a name, as a dinosaur, so it gets extra points. That's the way it works. It makes me feel more than the others. I will say, again, you know, it's hard until I release every single dinosaur and follow my heart at the time, but I will say, in retrospect, I would swap Sauropelta and Crichtonsaurus. I would put Sauropelta up by 1 position. The final dinosaur in the bottom 19, and probably the most controversial, but not the most surprising if you've been watching my videos, is the Velociraptor. Oh, Velociraptor. I love those sound effects, I'm not gonna lie. Those sound effects are the only reason it's even as high as it is. Those of you who've watched my videos will know my immense disappointment with the Velociraptor. I really go on about it all the time. Velociraptor suffers a lot for 2 main reasons. 1, it's disappointing compared to its movie version. Number 2, the skins suck. Skinning and textures and interesting colours and stuff like that are important to me in this game. They really are. They don't have to be exciting. For example, Brachiosaurus. You guys know Brachiosaurus is going to be high on my list. Its alternate skins are really nice. They're not necessarily exciting, but they're really nice. The alternate skins for the Velociraptor are neither exciting nor pleasant to look at. They just suck in general. It gets some points because it's got cool animations, and I love the sound effects of the Velociraptor, and I always will because those are classic. That noise right there, it's a classic Jurassic Park noise. But in the battle of the small carnivores, Velociraptor, Dilophosaurus, Troodon, and Deinonychus, Velociraptor for me is a fairly distant 4th place, and it doesn't quite scrape out of the bottom 19. I'm sorry, Velociraptor, I really am. You're just too boring. I don't know what else to tell you. You could be so much cooler than you are. Instead, you decided not to be. I will say it nearly climbed out because of a recent change to the game. You'll see when it's doing that little claw movement just there, just did it a second ago, where it kind of scrapes its claws forward. That used to make a really obnoxious kind of like a metal. I can't really do it with my mouth, clearly. It used to make this really strange metal-on-metal kind of noise, and they got rid of that in the latest patch. The person who put that into the game actually messaged me, thanking me for my opinions on that, which I thought was a really cool move, because a lot of us hated that noise, if we're honest. It can be very hard to step away when you put something like that into the game, I'm sure, and kind of like reevaluate it. But I don't really know anyone who liked it, so it was a little bit of a mistake, but the sound on the Raptors is just awesome in general. It's a shame it goes so low in the list, and it is mainly because of the skins, I've got to be honest. If it had some interesting skins, it would be solidly mid-pack, if not higher. But I'm so disappointed with the skin selection that it loses points. A lot of points. Anyways, that rounds out our bottom 19. Ladies and gentlemen, there they are, all living together in happiness. Lots of dinosaurs here, you know, I do genuinely like, but I like the other 18, 19, 37, just a little bit more. We'll be back tomorrow with the middle 18, the middle of the pack. There's going to be a few more carnivores in there. Things are going to get mixed up a little bit. More dinosaurs that I do truly like. And then on Saturday, of course, we'll be back again with the top 19. Thank you so much for joining me. Let me know if you disagree. I'm sure some of these dinosaurs, the Raptor, the Polar, the Baryonyx, the Camara, Apatosaurus, stuff like that, I can see the Parasaurolophus, I can see those ones in particular being a little bit divisive amongst you guys at home, but we'll have to see. Let me know in the comments down below. I'll see you lovely folks next time. Cheers, much love as always. Bye-bye. A little shout out at the end. This video and others like it would not be possible at all without the support of you guys watching me at home, and also everyone on this Patreon page right here who supported me in the last month. If you want to help out as well, you can do so at patreon.com/bestinslot. Every little really helps. Cheers.